Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new weekend out there so far. We got many things to discuss in this morning's video, as I do think we're going to enter a period as we pretty much go through the first couple weeks of February at least, that's going to favor a pretty active winter storm track for areas of the country. Now, I say areas, I know I got a lot of people tuning in from the south, and you immediately think, oh no, it looks like, the chances for winter weather are dramatically increasing, right, Mitch? Well, no, not necessarily. I do think this active winter storm track is going to be further north. The plains through the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. But things can change fast, especially as we get closer to mid-month. And I know that's pretty far out. It's February 1st right now. But I'm telling you, things can change pretty quick. So we're going to talk about what we do know. I think this is going to give a lot of people a lot of opportunity that are big winter weather fans a chance to get a sizable winter storm, and maybe multiple ones. So we're going to speak on all model guidance that we're seeing that supports this. We'll talk about ensemble guidance. We'll show you where that footprint of snow is, which as you get deeper into the month, it sags a little bit further south, but it really increases for the areas where the footprint is. We'll speak on that. We'll break down the pattern that's supporting this active winter storm track. And then we'll discuss some long range stuff like the polar vortex, the MJO phases, and stuff like that, kind of nerding out with you guys and explain what I think could potentially happen as we get deeper into the month. And then we'll talk about today's weather. We won't forget that in this video since things are a little bit slower. But listen, I could see a time coming up where we have to start to double up these videos. And eventually we do have a significant winter storm to break down as we get over the next several days and deeper into the month. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. Obviously, we need to pray for our country. A lot of stuff going on right now, and I think that's pretty much, we can leave it at that, right? But definitely just a lot going on. So we definitely need to pray for the country. And like I said, if anybody has anything that we can pray for you about, please put it in the comments. Not only does it give me an opportunity to pray for you guys, but there's so many other prayer warriors in the comments that are praying over your prayer requests too. So definitely put it there, even if it's unspoken. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So this is the latest Euro. We're going to start this off a little bit differently. We've been talking about the Climate Prediction Center a lot. I think we're going to kind of move away from that, at least for right now. But this is the latest Euro. So this is from overnight. We're going to start all these off by February 3rd, Monday morning. So here in the next 48 hours. We got this stripe of snow. Snow is in the blue, green is the rain, and then you'll have some pink that will show up, and maybe some orange. Just think of that as ice, freezing rain, or sleet. No point in getting super specific whether it's freezing rain or sleet. But blue is the snow. You got that breaking out across the northern plains. You keep this going, if it'll get going for us. Here we go. The leftovers of that system will move across the Great Lakes region to the northeast by Monday into Tuesday. And then our next system kind of gets going here in the form of moisture kind of bubbling up from the south. Now, you don't look at that 540 line as the true gauge of cold air, but it'll tell you that cold air is around, whether it's at the surface, aloft, meaning above our heads. There's cold air around. And I think this is a great example of how you don't always say, this is exactly where the 32-degree line, which is not what the 540 line is. It's the colder air aloft. Just think of it like that, okay? But you got the pink starting to show up south of that 540 line. So that tells you there's a lot of colder air at the surface. So, this is getting into Wednesday morning. We're starting to get this nasty icy mix show up for the Midwest states through the Ohio Valley into even areas of like PA. This is Wednesday morning, so not too far off, right? Around the 100-hour mark. We keep this going. We continue to get system after system that flies across the Rockies. We'll continue to add the snowpack, and we could eventually get some snow in some of these lower elevations like the coastal range and even the valley floors, places like that. So this is when the pattern gets weird, all right? And it's pretty close to us. So you got a lot going on right here. You got kind of this round. You got this round. We need to make these circles a little bit bigger. I think that's good. So we got multiple rounds of precipitation. There's no one compact storm, or you can call it multiple storms, but the stronger storms right here popping off the Rockies. but you're just getting a lot of moisture bubbling up. And then a stronger low develops, and all of a sudden, this coming Wednesday into Thursday, you got this nasty winter storm. Let's just call it that for now. I know that's a lot of ice you're seeing breaking out across the Great Lakes region, heck, as far south as Chicago, Detroit, and snow to the north. And this is just a cutter. You know, you see this low pressure cutting across the Midwest through the Ohio Valley, you know, over the southern tier of New York. And this is just a nasty, icy mix, snow on top up in Canada. And then there's just a lot of rain to the south. There actually could be severe weather with this. And then what happens next? That's kind of like your first big storm system. We get late in the next week, and we got more moisture that kind of surges up, but it never taps into that cold air. All the cold air is bottled up to the north. It's all warm to the south. And then here comes another system. Looks very familiar, right? This is about a week from today, next Saturday. More moisture begins to bubble up. No shortage of rain across the Mississippi Valley, west and east, north and south of it. And then we got a lot of snow breaking out across the Dakotas, Minnesota, areas that just have not seen a lot so far this winter. And this turns into a sizable winter storm across the Midwest, upper Midwest, I would say. Rain to the south, though, like the Tennessee, Ohio Valley. This is mainly rain. Heck, it's even struggling to get winter weather in the Midwest. And then, you know, once again, this cuts over the same area. So this is like 8 days from now, right? Big winter storm across the Northeast, but with this low pressure cutting across Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, I mean, eventually you're going to switch to rain because the low is flying to your north, which means it'll bring warm air through south of the low in those areas of the Northeast. But this could change. I mean, this low pressure, this is 210 hours out. This could trend further south. And then once again, more cold air begins to kind of sag south. Now you got that 540 line, you know, through the Midwest now. What's next after that? Another system shows up, and you notice each system, little by little, has winter weather further and further south. So this one is just an all-winter weather event for most of the Midwest through the Ohio Valley. Still not getting a lot in Kentucky and definitely not in Tennessee. But you notice you're starting to get some winter weather down here in Oklahoma, the Panhandle of Texas now. It's just a little bit further south. And look at this huge zonal system. Okay, you got a lot of cold air up here. But it's just having a hard time beating down this nasty southeast ridge, which is right here. Okay, cold air coming down, hitting that moisture. Okay, but you just got this huge overrunning event, and this is pretty far out. I mean, that's 258 hours out. But the pattern supports the pattern supports an active storm track. We've been talking about that for several days. That's been kind of like the highlight of the video, if you will. It's just, where's the cold air going to be? Latest Euro, man, it really has the cold air bogging down. And eventually, and this is far out, it's not a forecast for my folks in Tennessee, northern Mississippi, etc., Virginia. Eventually, it bogs down this cold air through this moisture, and you get a winter storm breaking out in Tennessee and Virginia. I mean, all the way over the areas of Arkansas. So it's something to watch, and eventually the cold air gets even closer. So we're getting to 300 hours out, right? And all of a sudden you're getting a winter storm breaking out across North Carolina, Virginia, areas of Tennessee. You can see it just gets a little bit closer. And then it does look like at the very end of the run, the ridge tries to flex again. But cold air is still everywhere up here. So looks like the ridge flexes again, but another winter storm breaks out. So what do you take from that? An active pattern. And if you're on the cold air side of this, you have multiple opportunities to get winter weather. Now, what about the latest GFS? We'll go through this a little bit quicker. We'll go through Tuesday. We're going through Wednesday. There's that first system that we talked about midway next week. Here comes moisture hitting that cold air. We'll have to see what happens. GFS always likes to lean a little bit colder, so it wants to bring a nasty wintry mix into PA, New York, southern New England. And it actually turns into this into a pretty nice snowstorm for like Boston, southern New England. And then what's next? So we start to get into the end of next work week, and here comes some more moisture right here trying to tap into that cold air. We continue just to have rounds of moisture going across the Rockies. But that one's kind of a miss. And then here comes the next big one. This is for next weekend. Not a forecast, but shows a lot of moisture hitting that cold air. Models are starting to kind of lock into this one too, even though it's still kind of far out. And it's a little bit colder on the GFS, where the Euro has it raining further north. It has more winter weather further south. And this turns into a big winter storm for New York City, and then mixes with mixes with ice, but no point in getting super specific because it's going to change. And then shows a pretty sizable winter storm across the northeast New England. And then what's next? Here comes the next round of weather. It's evolving the same way as the Euro. So now you got cold air oozing a little bit further south, and what do you get? Same thing. And we'll kind of mix and match this a little bit. Same thing. We look at this is about the 10-day mark, right? Here comes a huge overrunning event. You look at the latest GFS. Same thing. That's pretty locked in right now. I don't think it'll stay like that, but that's pretty wild agreement at day 10, right? Big overrunning event. And cold air's a little bit further south. Okay, and then you got this winter storm, pretty large one. Once again, a really large, not strung out, but huge zonal looking winter storm. I mean, across Oklahoma, through areas of Arkansas, Missouri, through Kentucky. It looks very weird through the mid-Atlantic. And then another huge round of moisture bubbles up here, turns into a major winter storm. It just keeps going, just round after round. And you go all the way to the end of the run, what happens? Who knows? It wants to show like I said, you take from this that you're getting round after round of moisture with cold air somewhere, and it's probably going to be bottled up further to the north. So this is not a winter weather pattern for the south because all the cold air is to the north, but it could set the stage for something better for the south once we get to the mid-month time frame. Okay, don't give up on winter. I'm telling you, don't do it, because you're going to find yourself out there, mowing the grass, on Valentine's Day or something, thinking winter's over, and all of a sudden you get hit by a winter storm a few days later. So you guys I think we all been around long enough to know that just because you get several warm days in February, that doesn't mean winter weather's over. Now, I like to tease on social media and say that February is like a spring month. And I will admit, it doesn't even feel realistic to get winter weather in the South anymore, especially the Southeast in February, because it hasn't happened in so long. We used to get I call haymaker winter storms in the Southeast in February, and we just haven't in a while. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like that forever. It'll change at some point. But this is the Euro AI model. It continues to have wild swings, but the last few runs, has done some pretty wild stuff. And same thing, Euro AI model, it only shows precipitation. It doesn't show whether it's ice, snow, rain. But, there's that winter storm it likes at 138. This is around next Thursday. So this is moisture. There's that 540 line kind of bobbing and weaving. Well, this isn't the 540 line. That's actually the 0 degrees Celsius line. So this is the 32 degree line right here. Kind of bobbing and weaving up through here. And this is the 850 millibar temps too. So this isn't at the surface. This is a few thousand feet up in the air. I got to remember that Euro AI model. I wish they would update this and make it better for us, because this model's doing well. It has done well this winter. But that is our first winter storm. And then we have this other overrunning event that sets up. The Euro and the GFS show this too. Next weekend, here it is. It kind of follows more so the Euro, though. It's a warmer looking system. And just because you're south of that 0 degree Celsius line, it doesn't mean you're just getting rain. You're probably just have an opportunity just to get more ice. So that goes. And then what about that next one? So there's 3 I'm watching, right? The one looks like it's a lock. We're just trying to find the details of it. That is midway next work week. Another one is getting close to a lock, but not there yet. That's for next weekend. And then the next one is for the week to follow, like getting past the 10th. And look, the Euro AI model shows that too. So you look at this, 256 hours out. This is like the evening of the 10th into the 11th. Okay, big blob of moisture, cold air really close by. You look at in the same time frame. This is just crazy how models are lock and loaded under the system. There it is right there. You look at the Euro. I already had it there. I don't know why I moved it. There it is right there. And then you look at the Euro AI model. It has it too, in some form or fashion. So the thing you can't see here is the surface temperatures, but I will kind of pull it up. And I'm actually going to just kind of zoom into the eastern U.S. here. Like, look at the surface temperatures if you match it here. Look at that cold air damming setup. So a lot of cold air on this side, and if you kind of match this up with moisture, so it's close to a big system. And this turns into a whopper of a winter storm. Like, Like this is like the 11th, and this is not a forecast, guys. But look at all this moisture up here, and let's look at temperatures, right? In the 20s. That is a major snowstorm for the Northeast, based off the Euro AI model, and a classic looking run too. Now let's kind of go back and a more zoomed out look here, and to keep this going here, and then the cold air actually oozes further south than all the other models I just showed you, GFS and the Euro, and then you have this next system that bubbles up further to the east. So we'll just zoom in here. Now check this out. This is a major winter storm for even areas of the south. Because if you look at all this moisture, you can see these lines kind of buckling. I'm just giving you some examples here. Look at these temperatures. That's below freezing for Charlotte, Greenville, Spartanburg. It's not a forecast. Very cold temperatures east of the Alps. I do feel like the Euro AI model runs a little bit cold, but you look at all how cold these temperatures are, and then you compare it to all this moisture. That's a winter storm. 300 hours out, but that's a winter storm. And then does the same thing, rides up to the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic turns to a major winter storm, and then here comes another one after that. I think there's well, no, I thought there was another one after that. But anyways, a lot of cold air to follow too. There's a lot of cold air behind this system. Yeah, so it definitely brings winter back on the Euro AI model. The Euro AI model is just adamant that cold air is on the way back. So you look at the footprint of snow, right? And we're going to start this off around the evening of the 4th. So this is snowfall between now and about midweek next week. All right, a lot of snow is going to add up for the central and northern Rockies. Snow footprints up here to the north, up in Canada and the northern states and the Northeast. Now watch what happens as I make our way through. And I'm going to try to mention dates as we get deeper. So we get through the 5th, the 6th, 7th, 8th. So we're all the way through next weekend. This is next weekend. Now between next Saturday evening. You see how the footprint is just pretty much increased for the same areas. But what you can't see here is ice. There could be some ice into here. Okay. You keep going. This is all snow. I think it picks up on sleet too. Then we get to the day 10 mark. You notice how it begins to sag to the south a little bit. And then we get past day 10, and this is no man's land, but we'll take it all the way through. So we take it all the way out to the evening of the 15th, mid-month. The mid-month kind of threshold, if you will. All right, so that is a pretty hefty signal and a pretty strong cutoff of snow right through here. And it's really loud in areas of the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, the Great Lakes region, even all the way up through the Northern Plains in this region. That is a hefty signal for snow, guys. Now, I'm actually going to zoom into our friends here in the eastern U.S. All right. I'm going to have to do that and go all the way back through. That is a pretty solid signal. Now, there's a pretty stout cutoff right in here. And I'm not sure if this is going to sag south, but it really, to me, it screams to me that it's going to be fighting the southeast ridge. You can literally see the southeast ridge in the footprint of snow. You can really see it. And I'm drawing this H for high pressure, ridge of high pressure. You can see it being there. In the Northeast, here's the thing. The Northeast needs a little bit of ridging. So when you have that little bit of ridging, it causes these low pressures to cut like this or to kind of go like that. So the Northeast likes that little bit of a southeast ridge over the southeast. Okay. But it's a pretty solid pattern. And, I'm going to pull this up on the fly. And if you look at, let's see, the EPS, let's go to the OOZ, let's go this, that, all that. That's a lot of craziness, guys. You get to see what all I have to do to get all these images up for you guys. And we look at the Euro ensemble for ice, and we'll go all the way through the run. And it is pretty loud for these areas. Way too loud. I mean, I don't think we're going to get an inch of ice in some of these areas, but you can tell the pattern has overrunning written all over it, which means you're going to get ice. When I say overrunning, I'm meaning moisture overrunning cold, shallow Arctic air. I mean, that's a pretty big signal for ice for a lot of people. I mean, all the way down to the Carolinas. So, this could increase. I mean, that's a pretty huge ice signal. But what about the GFS ensemble? This is still running We'll just take it all the way through the length of the run. This is only 330 hours out, so we're missing about 30 hours that we had on the Euro ensemble. And it's kind of the same thing, right? Not as far south, but we're not all the way through the run. But it's a pretty loud signal for the Northeast, the Great Lakes region, even areas of the Midwest, obviously for the Rockies. And we compare that, let's say, with the OZ run. It is a little bit further south. But in general, it's the same thing. We're still getting flip-flopping with the models. So what I can tell you is the eastern U.S. especially, this favors a lot of moisture. Whether you're getting snow, ice, or just rain, this favors a lot of moisture. And I do think we're going to have the opportunity for some severe weather for certain areas of the country too, because so many low pressures are cutting to the north. And each time a low pressure cuts to the north like this, this is going to yank in that warm, moist air from the south, and then we're going to have opportunities for maybe some severe weather if the thermodynamics cooperate. The kinematics will, but what about the thermodynamics? Your moisture at the surface, your higher levels, your Cape levels, stuff like that. So a lot of moisture. This is between now and, hey, this runs all the way through like mid-month. So few to several inches of precipitation is likely. Now, what about this pattern that we're trying to figure out? Okay, the blues, think of that as lower pressure. It is low pressure, colder air, active weather. Okay, and then you got the yellows, the orange, and the reds. That's a ridge of high pressure. And kind of between both, like right in here, that's kind of where your storm track goes, north or south of that. Okay, so we'll start us off on next Thursday. So what you got going on here is the storm track's probably going like this, like that. Okay, a lot of warm air down here. So that is why that system midweek, if you were following me here when we're showing the Euro GFS and the Euro I model, that low pressure sort of develops right in here and almost does something like that. It follows that dip in the jet, which is right into here where this trough is setting up. So that low pressure is cutting because this area in blue ain't really sagging like that or like that or something like that. So a lot of that's. But you continue to go forward here, and we start to get into next weekend. Looks a little bit different. Okay, we continue to have this spiking ridge up into Alaska. This continues to unleash cold air. Just a continuous feed of cold air. It's just having a hard time beating down this ridge that you see in the yellowish orange down here. So storm track is probably going maybe some way, probably like this. Okay, so it's a little bit further south. And this blue right here that you're seeing here, colder air, dip in the jet, active storm track, could sag, could trend a little bit further south. And to keep going here, and we stop it right here. Okay, at this point, the jet is sagging further down here, so your storm track's probably going to go maybe something like this. So low pressures could be going like that. They might be a little north. So cold air kind of coming down, hitting that moisture, etc. Okay, and that matches up what we just showed you with all the global models. It matches up pretty well. And we keep going, and what happens after that, who knows? But it does show a change here. If you look right here, it goes from dropping just a full-fledged trough out west to all of a sudden, there's still a lot of ridging down here, but all of a sudden it wants to sort of shift it back east. And the big question is, if you were to keep this going, is this eventually going to drop a trough like this? Because as we start to get to mid-month, we start to inch a little bit closer to those favorable phases. MJO phases that we talked about. And if we look at the GFS ensemble, folks, it kind of shows the same thing. It shows the trough sort of backing off in the western U.S. through mid-month, and then it looks like it's about to maybe nudge into the eastern U.S. Maybe. But regardless, you continue to just have this feed of cold air. More so like this feed of cold air down here into this active storm track. Man, let's check out those arrows, man. That's really... I must be an artist or something. But one thing I'll show you is the Euro AI model. Okay. Euro AI model is totally different. Now, this is still considered just an operational run, but it wants to drop just a massive trough down into the middle of the country right here. And this is just shy of 300 hours out, and then just delivers a huge winter storm across a good chunk of the central and eastern U.S. And it looks like it's about to drop it again. So it's definitely different on the Euro AI model. Something to watch. And I can tell you the Euro AI model is doing well. So we know there's going to be an active storm track. This is the 200 millibar wind streak, to just basically the flow at 200 millibars. Okay, this is around where our jet sits. So we'll start this out 144 hours out. This is the end of next week. And as you can tell, where those more highlighted colors are, kind of the oranges and the reds and yellows, that is where our storm track is going to be. And this is the Euro ensemble, so this is a blend. And it just shows you that the storm track is just shooting across the middle of the country over the northeast. So we're just going to have round after round of precipitation across the middle of the country. Now, one of the last couple things we'll look at is temperature anomalies. And, based off the Euro ensemble, I mean, this is starting a week from today. We're still dealing with above average temperatures down here, which is showing up in the warmer colors. And then the colder colors is the blues and the greens and the purples. And it does show the ridge trying to get beat down, colder air moving into the middle of the country, the northeast. But it just has a really hard time beating down the warmer air from the southeast ridge. I mean, it looks like they're literally fighting one another in this area, and it's just having a hard time beating it down. Now, I think the southeast is just going to get their hands on this cold last. I really do. But you go all the way to the end of the run. Most of the country is cold through mid-month. I mean, as much as we've been talking about warm air, a lot of the country is going to be cold here in the next several days, especially as we get past the 7 to 10 day mark. It's just the South is going to have a hard time beating back. I would say the cold is going to have a hard time beating back this warmth from the Southeast. We'll have to see if we trend the other way from it. Now, there's a lot of chatter about the polar vortex, and this is at 10 millibars, folks. This is way up in the atmosphere, like 50,000 feet. Somebody could probably Google what 10 millibars to feet is. But I know like 200 millibars is like just shy of 40,000 feet. Okay, so this is way up. I was joking with somebody yesterday. I was like, this is like the height. This is so far up. This is like the surface of the moon. So, and I'm telling you that for a reason. So this is about a week out from today. What we know is when the North Pole, the top of the globe, stays really, really cold, we know that the polar vortex is strong. When we have a weakened polar vortex, that means it has an opportunity to split or just fully dislodge. In this case, this is a split. Confidence is increasing that this is going to happen. So this is the top of the globe. This is the U.S. This is, this is like the other side of the world, like Russia, Asia, and stuff like that. So you notice we get this dislodgement of the polar vortex. So one piece is going like this, one piece is going like that. And confidence is increasing that this is going to happen. So, you're looking at this and thinking, man, that's a big old blue blob and green blob over the eastern U.S. and eastern Canada. This means a lot of cold air is coming down, right? Well, it probably does. But one thing to mention, and we'll go all the way to the end of the run, it's the latest Euro, and it fully just dislodges a piece of the polar vortex down into the lower latitudes right here. So this would tell us, hey, there's a lot of cold air coming. And I say that because, listen, just because you have a split of the polar vortex like this, that doesn't mean that immediately to the surface the cold air comes. It takes a while for the cold air to respond to this. Okay? That kind of come down from this splitting of the polar vortex. It takes time, which means that there's a lag effect. So we're probably not going to feel the effects of this until late February, like maybe early March. And where are we right now? February 1st? So I think there's going to be a nasty blast of cold air towards the very end of the month, maybe early March. And for people who are hoping for that early spring, what I would say is you should probably enjoy it now, like now. Over the next several days, we're going to torch in the southeast. Enjoy it now. I just don't think it's going to stay. And if you think it is, I think you're going to be in for a reality check. I just think that this is going to have consequences to it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to be thrown into the freezer at the end of this month, beginning of March. But as we know, even in the southeast and definitely further north, winter ain't over once you get into March. We can have some wild stuff. 1960 is a great analog year for the Carolinas for that. Y'all look it up. There was a winter storm. I think three Wednesdays in a row. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So, last thing we'll kind of look at is the MJO. I think if you live in the South, and I'm only speaking for the South here for a minute, you got to get this MJO back into Phase A. This is where we went through Phase 8, 1, and 2. These are colder phases for the eastern U.S. You got to get this MJO phase working back in your favor. Right now, we're cruising through all the warm phases. So, what is it, the first? So, we're pretty much in Phase 5 right now. So, this is the 31st. This was yesterday of January. Kind of like right into here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so we need this to continue to progress through Phase 6, which is warm. Phase 7 is getting colder. We need to get this back into Phase 8. And this is kind of the Euro forecast system. This is the ensemble, which kind of has it getting mixed up in Phase 6. But, the extended Euro outlook has this finally fully making it. Let's get all this off your screen. Has this finally fully making it into Phase 8. It's a weaker Phase 8 pulse, like almost a null stage. But it does have us getting through Phase 7 into Phase 8. You match that with a split of the polar vortex. I think that, let's just leave it at this. Winter's not over. So, today's forecast, a lot of energy flying around across the country. We got waves of moisture just everywhere. No really compact area of heavy moisture. Just as you can tell, it's just a lot of waves of moisture everywhere. But as far as watches, warnings, and advisories, not a whole lot going across the eastern U.S. We do have some winter weather advisories for northern Minnesota, even winter storm warnings as you have that lake enhancement out off the western areas of Lake Superior and northeast Minnesota. We got some special weather statements for some snow today. And then we go over to the Rockies. Winter storm warnings in the pink, winter weather advisories in the purple. These are actually avalanche watches, so we got to watch out for this type of stuff. But some of these bigger cities, the cold air's coming, but it's just not close enough. It's always trips me out how close the higher elevations are to like Salt Lake City. I mean, look at that. You got winter storm warnings like right down the street. It always trips me out. But talking about the valleys here, Seattle, are you going to get any snow? Well, they don't have a winter weather advisory, winter storm warning for you guys right now, but that could change. Actually, forecasting a little bit of snow now in Seattle. And just the valley area is not going for much. So kind of zoom out of this. Well, not that much. And we look at the risk for thunderstorms. Let's look at this, that. Thunderstorm outlook. Not going for much today. Excessive rainfall outlook. We do need to watch out for a lot of rain in central and northern California. So if you live in this yellow area, that's where we have a 15% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of any given location. The southeast today, nothing. Beautiful day, nice day. Backdoor cold front will try to surge through Virginia and North Carolina today to kind of cool you down. I don't think it's going to bring really any moisture with it. So beautiful day in the southeast. The northeast, that snow will taper off. We get into this evening to the overnight hours all the way into tomorrow morning. Pretty quiet. But we do got a clipper on the way. This will bring some snow for certain areas for Sunday. But we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. And in the south central U.S., beautiful day too. Nothing really going on. Enjoy your day. North central U.S., this gets a little bit different. We'll have a big area of snow that'll blossom almost out of nowhere, kind of spawn out of nowhere, if you will. Heavy snow will begin to fall in northeast Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. The UP of Michigan, just clipper after clipper. It's clipper season, ain't it? So we'll continue to get this. We'll get some rounds of heavy snow through tomorrow morning. And this will linger all the way through tomorrow. And then we'll get some warm air that kind of surges in with this brief spike in the ridge before cold air comes down. We might actually get rain tomorrow in certain areas. But snowfall between now and the next 48 hours. Over a foot of snow is expected in northeast Minnesota. A few to several inches of snow elsewhere in the blue color. UP of Michigan, everybody will get accumulating snow from this. Not much down into the big cities in Milwaukee, Chicago, or Detroit. But maybe a dusting. Could get a little bit. So. The western U.S. rounds, kind of a convective element. We'll just get round after round of heavier bursts of rain and snow. The snow levels will continue to drop. And, the HRRR model, actually, we're going to get a little bit closer. Let's zoom into this. The HRRR model really wants to get these snow levels pretty low once we start to get into the overnight hours. For example, it starts to show snow making it down to the valley floors, especially tonight into tomorrow morning, for the valley areas down Seattle, Medford, Eugene, places like that. And we start to get maybe some snow all the way through tomorrow. We'll see if this happens. So that'll be interesting. But snowfall between now and the next 48 hours, Seattle, Tacoma, maybe a few tenths of an inch of snow. Could get more than this. Everett, maybe 6/10 of an inch of snow. Even going for a little bit, 1/10 of an inch in Portland. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Cascades, the Olympic Mountains, the Coastal Range are going to get more. But head on down to Oregon and calling for just a touch of snow for these valley areas. Medford, maybe 2/10 of an inch of snow. We'll see if this changes. It very well could. And then we'll look at Montana and surrounding states. A lot of snow on the way, round after round. This is just over the next 48 hours, guys. So definitely a lot on the way. And we will kind of dip this down to Nevada and Utah. Salt Lake City not going for anything, but get a little bit more cold air wrapped into this. Maybe that'll change. So temperatures locked in today in the Northeast. Very, very cold air. Very cold day in the Great Lakes region, but you'll have a dramatic warm up tomorrow. The South, warm, not as warm as yesterday. The Mid-South, kind of a cool day in the 40s, but you'll warm up starting tomorrow. And then this is the Western U.S. Definitely a spike in warmth all the way into the plains, 50s, 60s, but that will not last long. That's all I got. God bless all y'all, and have a wonderful day.